And I think that's the difference on a lot of small business owners. They're not good at business.
Yeah.
Like they suck at business.
Yeah.
They're really good at whatever their trade is.
Yeah.
So like you look at the mechanic or using that example again, great mechanic, terrible at business. So he can never get out of that 70-hour work week of just doing everything, right?
Yeah.
But then you have the other people where they're good at business and they're not maybe even good at fixing cars.
Yeah.
But they own chains of, car
Exactly.
repair shops all over the nation.
Right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Own the Exit. I'm your co-host, Caleb, here in the studio with Aaron. What's up, Aaron?
What's up, Caleb?
Man, I'm just...
How are you?
It's been a good day. We have really had some great conversations, and one of the conversations we were having, Aaron, I'd love for you to kind of introduce our top of mind topic today, because one of the conversations we were having was related to working on your business versus working in your business, and kind of the differences between the two and why they're both important. So,
yeah, I mean, it's funny. We'll do a phone call every once in a while, and we'll be like going off on some topic, and then we'll be like, that should be a podcast.
yeah, totally.
So we do these ones sometimes where we don't have a guest, but we just hash through different things. But I think that idea is probably familiar to a lot of people who are entrepreneurs. E-Myth, that book.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the top-selling business books of all time. It was in like 145 different countries. And the idea is, usually when someone starts a business, it's in an industry that they like. Like they gravitate toward that. Like if I have a real estate company, it's because I actually kind of gravitated toward that. It wasn't like a completely unfamiliar product or something that I hated.
Right.
Because at first it was just me doing it. Kind of like the mechanic who opens the mechanic shop, right? Like he actually likes working on cars. He's probably been doing it since he was a kid, right? And he's like, shoot, I should open my own mechanic shop.
Yeah.
Right. And then, but then over time, he's working on the cars like full time personally, but then he's trying to run over and answer the phones. And he's trying to take the appointments down, and he's trying to lease a commercial space, and he's trying to do bookkeeping, and he's trying to do all these different aspects of that business, right? And it's like the idea of like he's working in the business. And as entrepreneurs and business owners, and the whole idea of like Own the Exit, we talk about this all the time. To work on the business instead. And to create systems, to create processes, to create clearly defined roles within the business that could be replaced.
Yeah.
And having that mindset of an entrepreneur, because if not, you'll always be stuck doing something that you actually like doing, but it becomes, you don't like it anymore.
Right.
And like that guy, if you actually took the amount of hours that he's working, this is hypothetical, but he's probably working 70 hours a week but 40 of them as being a mechanic, which he wanted to be. And the rest of it's just working in the business. He might as well just go get a job as a mechanic somewhere.
Right.
And let them do all that stuff, make the same amount of money and work normal hours, and let them take all the hassle and the risk and everything. So it's like, it's not even worth having a business if you're not going to work on your business.
Right.
Because you're going to be working a lot more hours, and it's a very long-term. I mean, we've talked to business owners who haven't taken a vacation in like a couple years.
Yeah.
We had somebody on our podcast a while back. I think they said like 2 or 3 years. They couldn't even get away for a week because the business was built around them. And so that's the idea of the book, of just trying to think like I feel like you start there, right? Because you have to start working in the business. But then like, I'm always thinking like, how can I replace what I'm doing?
Right.
With someone else that can do it better than me.
Yeah.
But I have to start. I have to get it kind of organized and figured out, and maybe not fully, but just like, hey, defined at least like that there's a role here.
Yeah.
And then have someone else come in. We're doing that on something we're working on, right? We have a guy who's, it's vaguely defined, but he's going to come in and more clearly define it and build out our operations manual and everything. And the joke is like, hey, you're getting hired to like create your own job.
To create your job. And it's really cool because it's like, hey, here's the things that we need to have accomplished. Here's the things that need to get done, but we in this particular area, we don't have clearly defined systems yet, but it's very important to us that we do. And I think the starting point for, just this kind of an immediate implementation for our listeners in your business, I think the starting point is really digging into what is your unique ability. Like, what is the thing that you bring to the table of this business that it's going to be the most difficult to replace because you're uniquely gifted and skilled at it, but also that you actually enjoy the most. Like your example of the car mechanic. Like, he started his shop because he enjoyed working on cars.
Yeah.
And if that's what he wants to do in his business and that's what he wants his role to be, then like he should keep doing the thing that he enjoys doing and is uniquely good at.
Yeah.
And all of this other stuff, like, systems need to be built to cover that stuff. And sometimes you can build systems that you don't have to really hire someone to run and manage. Sometimes you do maybe you need to hire a shop manager, right? Maybe you need to do something like that if you have the ability and are at that point where revenue will support hiring an additional employee or whatever. But at the end of the day, there are ways to automate and build systems that require much less of your time, effort, and focus, so that you can give yourself, 80% of your time. I think is the rule of thumb. If you can give 80% of your time in the business to your unique ability, then that is going to equate in the business, scaling at a much higher likelihood and growing, a lot faster and a lot more strong, right? Like a lot stronger.
Yeah.
Because you're not, as the business owner, you're not getting bogged down doing a bunch of things that you're not passionate about and you're not gifted in. And early on, when you start a business, sometimes you have to do things. You've got to grind, you got to do the stuff, but
You got to do it all at the beginning.
right. But if your focus can be not on, I've got to learn how to do bookkeeping, for example, but it's like, I need to learn how to build a system for bookkeeping that someone making $10 an hour could manage. You know what I'm saying? Like a system that's so simple. Or the other option is just hire somebody who's awesome at that if you have the revenue and capacity.
Yeah, and I'm talking about like pure startup where you literally don't have any resources. And so you have to do it all. But then once you get going and you start a new business, like, hey, let's get a whole team on this, because you don't want to go back to doing it alone.
Right.
But it's interesting how many people don't. It's like they struggle with the concept even. Like, I talked to somebody who's like one of our big investors in one of our real estate deals. He's actually the only investor. This one we're closing on here in 2 weeks. And he's like, I absolutely hate standing there watching somebody else work. Like, I can't do it. It rubs me the wrong way. I'm like, dude, I'm like, you're 62 years old. You have I don't know, he's got $15-20 million or whatever from work, right? Like he's been very diligent. But he can't not do it himself. And he struggled with going into it, even partnering with me, because I'm like, hey, I'm going to do all the work. Like, our team here in Kansas City is going to do all the work. You're going to make most of the money doing nothing.
Yeah.
And he doesn't like that concept.
Yeah.
And so it's just interesting. I don't know if it's like the American way, like the independent, like, I'm not going to let somebody else do what I can do, you know? But it's just, he even says it. I mean, he has a saying, this guy, and he said, I work dumb, not smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just funny, right? Because he knows that it's not, but he can't like, he feels maybe it's just useless or, like he wants to contribute. And I'm like, and I think that's the difference on a lot of small business owners. They're not good at business.
Yeah.
Like they suck at business.
Yeah.
They're really good at whatever their trade is.
Yeah. So
like you look at the mechanic or using that example again, great mechanic, terrible at business. So he can never get get out of that 70-hour work week of just doing everything, right?
Yeah.
And so, but then you have the other people where they're good at business and they're not maybe even good at fixing cars.
Yeah.
But they own chains of, car repair shops all over the nation.
Right. I think we've talked about this too, like before of the power of like how you can work smarter, not harder to get greater output, right? Like the first is increased skill and knowledge, right? And so if you're the mechanic, then how do you make more money? It's by becoming the most skilled, the most knowledgeable mechanic that's able to solve people's problem the fastest, the most efficiently, and the most certainly. If you're a surgeon, you've got certain skills and knowledge that a burger flipper doesn't have. You can work the same amount of hours in a day and make significantly more money because you have skill and knowledge that's more valuable than the burger flipper does. But then the other piece of that is the leverage piece, right? Which is a much more powerful concept. And it's something that entrepreneurs who are building businesses and trying to build in systems really need to pay attention to. And that is, I could go out and start a business with no experience as a surgeon. I have no background in performing surgery. I have no knowledge on how to do that. But I live in a country with opportunity where I literally could go and build a surgical practice and hire ambitious, highly skilled, highly knowledgeable surgeons. They do all the surgeries. I just build a business of systems that has client acquisition, client fulfillment, ways to receive payment, customer service, all the different pieces of a business.
And you're not even a surgeon.
And I can make twice or three times as much money as a surgeon can make just by leveraging their knowledge and building a system around it. And so if you're an entrepreneur, understanding that building systems into your business is what makes your business a business rather than you simply being self-employed in a trade or a skill or something that you do. If you don't have systems, you don't have a business. Cannot say that clearly enough. If you don't have systems in place, you don't have people, you don't have processes, you don't have a business. You're self-employed, right? You're able to make money, but if you don't have a system, you don't have a business, because the second that you walk away from it, the entire system of the business is you. The second you walk away from it, it doesn't make money anymore, which means you're just trading time for money still.
The business needs to be a separate, and I think that's why people get so emotional too.
Yeah.
Like when I talk about business, I'm just like, that business over there.
Yeah.
Like it's just, it's its own, it has its own set of financials. It has its own business plan. And it's just like a business over there it needs to be detached from, maybe I started that business, but I got to separate myself, So I mean, it's a good topic for sure. It's E-Myth Revisited. It's a super good book. So if you want a business book, it's a classic. Just to get thinking, along that mindset. There's different examples in there they use. There's the donut shop owner. That just she wakes up at 2 a.m, makes all the donuts and stuff. Like it's a recipe for burnout. She likes making donuts, but she actually begins to hate making donuts.
Right.
And she just wants to go back to making donuts for a different business.
Yeah.
So that she can just make donuts.
Right.
And not do all of this stuff. Yeah. And so, but I think that's why business isn't for everyone.
Yeah.
And I think you just need to recognize, I think there's a lot of people that are like, oh, I wish I did this or that. It's like, if you've ever had a business, it's not for everyone.
Right.
Just like owning real estate actively, where you're managing all the stuff. Like a lot of people want to do it. It's like, it seems great. And then you start doing it and you realize this is difficult. It's disruptive. It imposes on my weekends.
Yeah.
My cash flow is not really that good. Like the real estate agent said I'd be getting this, and then my furnace went out and now it's negative cash flow. Like all of that, when you get, just all of the work of business. And then that's why people stay just 9 to 5 working for someone else, Because
in a lot of ways it's certainly easier.
It's easier.
The ceiling's lower, but it's certainly easier. And so it's not that there's one right way or one wrong way.
Yeah.
I think the point and the whole kind of point of this entire episode is the number one thing that's most important for your business is that you clarify your systems. Because if you don't do that, you don't have a business. You're self-employed, you'll continue to trade time for money, and there's no ability for you to scale that beyond your ability, like your personal capacity. Yeah. And even if you're like one of the most high capacity people in the world, like if you're an Elon Musk in terms of capacity,
but you have no leverage.
You have no leverage, right? And I'm telling you, 10 people with half the intellect and half the capacity of Elon Musk could beat Elon Musk if they work together in the right system, right? And the reason Elon has had the success he's had
He does both.
is because he does both. He works in his business, but he also recruits and has some of the most talented people on his team and has really great systems.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't go to a Tesla dealership and
he yells at you a lot.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. But you don't like I literally went into took Isla to test drive a Tesla just for fun this past weekend. We went to and you walk in and it's like Elon's not there.
Yeah.
He's not selling you the car.
Yeah.
He's not there greeting you at the door. Like he doesn't even know the people that work there probably. Like these, like he has, but like it was super. I walk in, I get greeted, somebody talks to me, It's the next step. It's really clear. It was very seamless. I felt like, man, this is like the best experience I've ever had on a car at a car dealership ever. Like there's no like pushy salesperson. I'm like, man, next car I buy is maybe going to be a Tesla because this experience is so good. And all of that is systems.
Yeah.
Right. Really good systems.
No, absolutely.
Well, cool. This has been a great episode, man. Enjoying this.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Just food for thought.
Yeah.
And one last thought too. I mean, when you said clarifying your systems, I'm just thinking of this one guy I know who does maintenance on homes and apartment buildings, and he actually wants to do the maintenance. Like he wants to be self-employed, as you said.
Yeah.
He doesn't want a business.
Yeah.
He just wants, and that's fine too.
Yeah.
But it's it's just like understanding what you're doing though.
Yeah.
And I think that's what with business owners, they get into it and they don't have the awareness that guy has of that I'm just going to do this.
Right.
And so then they get stuck because they're doing all these things that they actually never wanted to do, whereas he actually wanted to. He likes talking to the people and doing the books and go driving around, and he makes good money because it's just him. And he's like, oh, I don't want any employees and stuff.
Yeah. And as long as he understands that his income and earning potential is capped
on
and
his
limited.
Hours, and he doesn't care.
Right. And is like,
but that's not business,
his ambition.
Though.
Right.
That's like you said. That's
he owns a job, which is awesome.
He owns a high-paying job that he could take a day off if he wants.
Yeah. So there's some autonomy, which is awesome.
Yeah, but to say but like you said, that's kind of different than.
But if he's not working, he's not making
a
money.
business.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, awesome.
Nope. Great episode. Thanks everybody for joining us for another episode of Own the Exit. Until then, keep crushing it.
Yep. Thanks everyone. Keep crushing it.